Please give a round of applause to all of our panelists. Welcome, come on stage. And yes, I hope you will enjoy this panel very, very much. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi. Thank you, Alberto. Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm super happy to be here and to share this day with you all. As Alberto said, I'm Pablo Larguia, co-founder and CEO of SenseiNode. We do node and staking as a service in Latin America. So we deploy Kusama and Polkadot nodes in the whole region. And here with my friend Úrsula. Would you like to introduce yourself, Úrsula?
Sure. So it's a pleasure for me to be here. I mean, some of you have seen me around because I've been in this stage since yesterday. And I'm the Director of Communication and Partnerships at the Web3 Foundation, and doing some partnership and being very curious about the ecosystem and new technologies that they would love to build with Polkadot. That's how I found the people from Unfinished, which are created the next phase of decentralized social media.
Thank you, Úrsula. Denise?
Hi, I'm Denise Duncan from Unfinished Labs, and like Ursula, I'm really excited to be here in Buenos Aires. It's been such an experience to meet all of you.
Is your first time here?
My first time here. So excited, so welcoming. And I'm working on Unfinished Labs, and we're a part of Project Liberty, and I'm excited to tell you guys more about what that looks like, how we want to impact tech as well as governance, and create a whole movement around how we see the future of Web3.
Great. So here we have a new alliance between Unfinished and Polkadot, and I would like to know how that is started. How was the inception of the project?
Ursula, do you want to take that?
Yeah, I can take that. Because it was like literally almost a year ago where I received an email for my former boss, which is Vivian Schiller. And Vivian, she's one of the biggest media persona that I know in the US. Right now, she works at Aspen Institute, and she's very close with Unfinished as well. And I used to work with Vivian in New York at a startup that we were building some years ago about blockchain and journalism, and it was called Civil Media Company. So Vivian, she called me, or she sent me a text or email, and she said, oh, there's these people in New York that you should meet because they're aiming to build a new social media. And I was like, oh yeah, right, a new social media. Like, do we need another social media? We already have a lot of issues with the current social media. But anyway, it was Vivian, and every time that Vivian speaks, people listen. So I was curious, so I reached out to them, and she did an introduction with Unfinished. And so we had the first call, and they invited us to the Unfinished Live, which is the biggest event that they have every September in New York City. And I went there with Gavin Wood. Gavin Wood just left Buenos Aires yesterday. He was here. Gab participated in Unfinished Live last year in New York City. And it was a weird event because it was after the pandemic. And it was really hard to get into the US that moment. So everything was like kind of new. It's like when you're coming out of a nest after 2 years in a cave, you're starting to see a whole new world again. So we were in New York, and we met the people from Unfinished, and then I introduced Frank McCourt and Gavin Wood. We had, I think that we had a tea. Gavin loves tea. So we had a tea near to the Central Park. The magic was happening. I mean, we were introducing each other, getting to know each other. They told us about the project and how governance, it was important for them as well. Every single thing that you will build on the future of decentralization, you need to have a structure on how to build on governance. So we found a lot of alignments. After a year, now they're going to launch their parachain.
Yeah, so now this parachain is called the Project Liberty, right? Or the project is in
Well,
general?
the chain is called Frequency.
Yes.
the project itself, Project Liberty, is bigger than the chain, bigger than blockchain.
Okay.
Our goal.
What is the goal exactly?
Well, so the goal with Project Liberty is it's ambitious. We want to change the way that we want to create a new civic architecture, right, for the age that we're living in, an age driven by digital technology, by social media. Frank McCourt, who Úrsula mentioned, he started with this vision for Project Liberty because he was concerned about the way things were going in terms of rights and freedoms, but also opportunity, right? And thought that, a combination of technologists, impact leaders, and folks from academia could help generate ideas that would move us in a different direction.
Okay, and which are the reasons you think is much needed a new kind of social network when we have some of them so established, but of course centralized? So how do you think would be the new way to change that what is already established? I think it's the right way, because sometimes instead of trying to change the status quo of social media, the best thing is to create the new rules, to create a new system, a parallel system. So what are the challenges to do so?
Yeah, and you're so right? Creating that alternative, I think, is part of the key of our idea here with what we want to launch, which is starting with DSNP, Decentralized Social Networking Protocol, right? And the goal of that protocol is to open up social networking and make it free and open. Use blockchain, essentially, to take social networking and move it away from private companies and move it into the hands of people, right? So through DSNP, we want to enact and enable people to own their own data and then open up new ways for companies to interact with them, create applications for them, drive new models of economic sustainability with them.
So it's a way of having in frequency this parachain to have your personal identity, and you choose with whom or with which platforms to share which information you would like to share. Is that how it works? How you connect or how you move your followers to different apps in the ecosystem?
Yeah, at the core of DSNP is user data ownership, right? So in our model, the user would own their own data, and that information would be stored on the chain. And as I said, it's open and free and tokenless, right? So in order for the messages to move on that social network, we've created frequency, the parachain, right? And that chain is designed to scale and manage those messages. So how users would interact in the system is first by signing into DSNP through their application, and that application interacting with our chain to deliver messages, and that the content of the messages, right, is available and open to anybody who can access the chain and anybody who can access the protocol.
And I actually think that this is all great, but for all of you, I'm sure that 99% of all of you use social media, for sure. I do. And you too, I think. But I don't need to know what's behind the application. I need to know why the application will make sense for me. And right now, the current state of social media, the reality is that, of course, I can send a message to Pablo, and that message might be encrypted. Okay, let's give the benefits of the doubt that that message is encrypted. But that means that even if that message is encrypted, Facebook owns the data of my message, and they know what I'm sending to him. And then they will take that data and they will sell it, and they will use it for their own benefit and how to create marketing products. So that's the issue, the current issue that we have right now. Or the targeting ads on social media as well. We are here in Argentina with a lot of population that use WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, and we know that democracy is in danger if we keep having this model where they're gonna keep selling you ads of political ads or commercial ads. And you think that you're free because you're navigating, you're super tired navigating with your mobile, but you're not. Your freedom will end on Facebook. And if we want to create a real freedom, we need to decentralize that. And that's Project Liberty, basically.
So,
among many other things.
So, and that's important, right? With Facebook, you're captured on that platform. With all of the Web2 projects, you're kind of captured on that platform. They own and control your data, what you see. They decide how to use your data, right? The way that we've designed DSNP is there's no incentive, right, to collect and own your data with DSNP because there's no token there on DSNP. So it opens up a freedom for the user, knowing that the applications that they're interacting with don't have that same kind of call to action to collect their information and surveil them. And then the applications themselves have an option of creating a new way of engaging with the customer to fund their applications, fund their operations, right? So that's the opportunity that we open up by making that separation, right, between the social graph and the incentives. We disincentivize what's going on in DSNP, or I'm sorry, not DSNP, but in Web 2, and offer a new option for everyone.
Okay, so as a user, how is the call to action? It's like soon we will have a place in Frequency to create our social profile, and yeah, and how do you think will be that the beginning of that? Yeah.
Well, so we're at the point where we're building Frequency right now, right? So we've started building it. We're in the process of launching our crowd loan and our slot auction. Once that's complete, we'll have some opportunities for users to engage with us. But right now, the options are around. The options for engagement are around. Are for the developer community, right? Mm-hmm. To get involved with us and start creating this platform and this new chain for change.
So if there's developers that want to contribute or add ideas, where they find it at Project Liberty?
So Frequency has a Discord. They can go to frequency.xyz to join the Discord and find out more there. Okay,
great. And Úrsula, about the roadmap or next steps of Frequency, or which one do you think will be the highlight, or when it's going probably to be launched?
This is a question for Denise and their team, because they are the ones that they will be connected to Polkadot. But I'm pretty sure that quite soon, because I know that the tech teams are very advanced on this. They've been working in this project for years. I mean, they're not building this just now. They've been working at least for 2 years in this project, and we just announced it in last May in Davos with Frank McCourt and Gavin Wood. So I'm very positive that we might see the first parachain. I don't know, but I'm not the right person to say, but let's say soon. All I can say is that they have a large group of developers who are working, and the developers who are working on our team as well. They're very integrated, so we will see it soon.
Can I just back up a second there?
Sure.
Because I want to make sure that, we've been throwing around a lot of terms, DSNP, Project Liberty, Frequency, and, I want to make sure that it's clear for everybody where the
Sure.
lines are for everything, right?
Right.
So can I just back up for a
Yes,
second?
sure.
Because I would like to maybe just talk about like Project Liberty overall, right? Because as I started to say, Project Liberty itself isn't exactly a tech project, right? Technology is a part of it, and DSNP and the frequency chain are the technology that we want to launch. But overall, what we want to accomplish with Project Liberty is changing not just tech, but the environment that we're in overall, right? So it's not just the technology that we're building. We're focused in on governance, for example. That's a huge part of the tool set and the tools for change that we see, right? And then we're also interacting with McCourt Institute, which allows us to connect with academics, social scientists, and they give us input from other knowledge bases and people perspectives into the tech that we're building, so that we're not we don't maintain this exclusive and narrow focus on just the technology. We have opened up to the question of why it's being built and what the impacts will be, right? So that's the kind of call to action for Project Liberty. And then what we're activating in the world is the technology, right? In order to make that change that we want to see overall in the world, not just in social media, but in the access to freedom and access to opportunity. The technology is going to help us enable that, right? So DSNP being a free and open protocol without a token, so that users' data can be available there, is one layer of it. The frequency chain, which is a scaled chain for messaging, is the next layer of it, right? And that is where the economy can be built, apps can be built, a new sustainable model for this new version of the web that we want to see can be created.
You mentioned messaging, but also content creators will be able to generate their own content and interact with their community, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And is there going to be some economic incentives or people can reward in some way probably the content creators in the future?
Absolutely. So, the way we see it, right, with the chain itself, it opens up a new way for people to do exactly that. So app creators can decide for themselves how they want to fund their applications. They can decide to do subscriptions. They can decide to do an ad model. They can decide to encourage users to stake and support them. Yeah. And one element of the design of the chain, I'll let you come back to this, is the idea of capacity, where all of the apps can stake on the chain, right? And that gives them capacity to send the messages, and then users can stake for those applications and basically vote with their checkbook to encourage the growth of those apps, right? So that's how we see the ecosystem being created.
This is a key point, and I understand what Denise is saying, because it's true. On blockchain, we do have a lot of terms, and especially for newcomers, it's super difficult to understand because we keep learning every single day. And so basically for me, Project Liberty, when I was introduced to this project in particular, I'm used to be a journalist. So I will tell this example. And as a journalist, we started with blogs in the 90s. It was super cool. But no one really monetized that writing for blog posts. And then social media came on the early 2000. And then it was Facebook, Twitter. Twitter is a great tool for journalism, but just to spread the news. But then on Facebook was they created a lot of incentives for journalism. They even funded journalism and newsrooms. And so I thought, wow, this is great, how cool. We have a platform where we are spreading our reporting work to all over the world. But I have to admit that we were super naive because we were working for free, zero return. Right now, in the journalism industry, 90% of digital ads, it goes to Facebook and Google, basically, 90. And today, most of the people that read the news on Twitter or on digital. I don't see people reading on paper. So that's the reality that we have seen with social media. It's a great tool to diversify and to spread the news, but it's not a great tool to monetize your content. So with Project Liberty, beyond many other things, because it has to go by stages, it won't resolve all of the problems of the world immediately. But at least if you work with step-by-steps, and that's why Project Liberty are so keen and focusing, going with governance, and they're working with Georgetown, with Sciences Po in France. I mean, it's a super serious project, and well-thinking, and thinking from the movement as well, because it's every single social media is creating a movement. But this movement, it needs to have a meaning. And the meaning, it has to be good for democracy, for our own sake, on how are we interacting with the internet. So I know that we're running out of time. I'm just talking and talking. One thing that is crucial to understand, and this is a say that I have here, Frank McCourt many times saying it, because he heard it from Bertrand Perez, which is the CEO of the Web3 Foundation, that you can build a house with a hammer, or you can kill someone with a hammer. And this is the technology. And it's up to us what would we like to build. So keep an eye on Project Liberty.
Okay, yeah, and frequency looks great. Thank you so much, Denise and Úrsula. And yeah, keep us posted about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks to you, Pablo. Thanks.